Hey everybody, we're doing another Q&A today because I think I hit 26,000 subscribers. So I told you guys to ask me anything, and you did, and here we go. What are your views on the 007 franchise? Any love or hates? Favorite 007 actor, villain, Bond girl, etc.? Yeah, I like Bond. I like Bond a lot. Every time there's a Bond film, I go and see it. It is one of those kind of guilty pleasures, one of those comforting types of movies to me, or action franchises. I think I like this one in particular just because, there's something about the romanticism of the aesthetic of like the 1960s and that style that I enjoy the homage to. And there's just a little bit more sophistication to it than certain other action franchises, I think. Though I will say, you said loves or hates. There's a lot of really bad Bond movies, and it's not something that I revisit all the time, so I'm really pulling this out of my ass, but I like, some of the early, I like Goldfinger, I like Dr. No, but I think my favorite would have to be Casino Royale. I think it's the most balanced and the most interesting. And I like that they really decided to, take Bond and give him a new edge, but they really handled it well, still maintaining a lot of what makes Bond special. And I felt like they lacked that later on with some of the later Daniel Craig installments. But yeah, Craig, I would say, is one of my favorites. I like him. I like Pierce Brosnan. I like Sean Connery, all for different reasons. They each work in their own respective era, I would say. Favorite villain? Oh, there's so many. Like, that's a tough one because the villains are what makes Bond. I really, off the top of my head, I don't know. I guess I'll go with the guy from Casino Royale, and I'll go with the Bond girl from Casino Royale as well, Eva Green. She was great, the most complicated, just the most interesting. Favorite psychedelics? My favorite psychedelic would be Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. What's your favorite advice for somebody who likes writing and critiquing movies but finds it gets in the way of their viewing experience? I'm always distracted by whether or not I've got some good observations by the end of the film. Really gets in the way. Yeah, that sounds annoying because it's like, I don't know, it feels like a homework assignment. And I won't lie, sometimes it totally feels like a homework assignment to do this. But I think, I see what you're saying. I think if you do it more, if you practice a little bit more and get more confident in the way that you explore your thoughts, you get more confident in the way you can express yourself and why you like or dislike something, I think you'll be able to kind of let it go a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that I always do. There are certainly times where I'm kind of I'm writing my review in my mind as I'm watching a movie, but overall, I really try to just experience it as much as I can and then leave all the thinking, leave all the, like the notes and all of that for later. Because I have found when I really, have gotten flustered and I really just want to try to write the review in my mind, I'm missing a lot of the movie. A movie should be an experience. It's meant to give you a certain sort of feeling. So I think you should experience it as such and then deal with the rest of it later. Easier said than done, and I understand, sometimes you really get ahead of yourself, you get a little apprehensive. But for me, I think the more that you practice it, that'll naturally just come. You'll get more confident in your ability to brainstorm and really write something out in a cohesive way that kind of helps your argument. If you had a chance to visit a movie set and talk with a cast and crew, which would it be? Upcoming and all-time movie? Oh, I'm not going to say upcoming because I don't know movies that are coming out. Like I've said before, I rely on you guys to tell me what's out. I really don't pay attention. But old movies, that's such a hard question. There's so many. I would probably pick like a really, really old film, like silent era, even pre-1920s. I might pick something where there's almost no information on it, or there's very little. We don't really know a lot about the actors, because that was back in the time where we knew a lot less about the personalities of the people. So I would like to see, what was D.W. Griffith really like, stuff like that. I'm really interested to see that. I would also love to be on the set of Aguirre, the Wrath of God, because, I just want to see like the main actor in that and Werner Herzog. I want to see how they work together because, there's some interesting stuff if you read about the making of that film. But there's so many. But I think I would go with something where, it's like really legendary old historical filmmakers and actors and all that, and really see what they were like. I think would be very interesting. Picasso or Warhol? Oh, Picasso. Not even a question. Tell me how Sopranos changed the way you watch television series. Well, how much time do you have? Yeah, I mean, I've talked about The Sopranos a lot. It is my favorite show. I think it's one of the most special things ever. It totally changed the way that I viewed television, which is weird because I didn't get to The Sopranos until much later. I didn't see it until I was like 23. I think I saw it. I started watching it right when James Gandolfini died because it had been recommended to me so much. So by that point, I had already seen shows like Mad Men, which of course was heavily influenced by it, and of course Matthew Weiner being one of the head writers on Sopranos, being the head writer of Mad Men. There's just a lot of carryover, a lot of influence, and yet I found myself more compelled, by far by the characters in The Sopranos. But more than that, I think that the show really pushes the idea of what it means to construct a show, a piece of fiction, a piece of pop culture. It really examined things from the outside in the way that movies do, in a much more cinematic way. It treats things with the richness of cinema, and while a lot of other shows have done that, certainly, I don't think they've done it to the degree of The Sopranos. And Sopranos is very flawed, and the more you watch it, the more you see those flaws. But also the more you watch it, the more it grows in terms of sophistication and just how special it is. Yeah, it's my favorite show of all time. Nothing has come close. What's the best love advice you can give to a younger fellow? Oh. I mean, it's hard for me to say because it's like I'm older, so I've had a lot of that experience. So what I would say maybe might apply more to somebody older, but I think it's important, and I wish, more people would talk about this when they're younger. Communication is everything. Communication is everything in any sort of important, close, intimate relationship that involves love. Doesn't even necessarily have to be romantic. It could be a great friend. It could be something. I don't know. Treat them with the respect, as in tell them your feelings, as hard as it is. That's one of the hardest things for me, is the communication thing. I'm terrible at it. I don't like confrontation, but I've made a lot of mistakes in my past because of it when it comes to love. So that would be some advice. The other thing I would say is think about why you love the person. That's a huge, huge thing. Why do you love them? Is it because you need them? You feel like you can't live without them? When I hear a lot of that, it sounds a lot more like that person is more serving you. But do you love that person unconditionally? Do you really care about them to let them live their life? Allow them to be happy on their own terms. That is the hardest thing when it comes to love, is being, not being possessive. Anyone you're close to, you get possessive of them and you cling to them and you fear them leaving you. I think the key is, yes, it's okay. That's healthy, to a degree to feel that way. I certainly feel that way with my close relationships and have in the past, but you also, I think, need to learn to respect them more than anything else. Because I find that most love, especially in this day and age, doesn't really have that genuine, true respect. Do you see any overlap between your love of film and figure skating? Also, will they ever make a figure skating film as masterful as The Cutting Edge? Of course not. The Cutting Edge is a zeitgeist film. It is a brilliant product of the 90s for sure. I hope that they do make something better than The Cutting Edge someday. There's never been a good figure skating movie, really. I think they tried with I, Tonya, but it for the most part came off as a very on-the-nose kind of like Scorsese-esque ripoff. It certainly isn't true to the sport that I know and love, and I have yet to see somebody really make a movie that truly loves the sport. I think most of the people that make figure skating movies can't tell a quad lutz from a triple salchow, and that's pretty sad. But yes, I'm so glad you asked this question. No one ever asked me about figure skating. So, but yeah, I think this is a good question. Do I see any overlap between my love of film and figure skating? Absolutely. That is why I love figure skating, because it's a combination of very technical elements that are pushing, physicality to the limits, while also including this artistic component. And there really are no other sports that do that. You could argue gymnastics, but it's to a much lesser degree than figure skating. Figure skating, especially with short and long program, it's that long program. I think, to me, it reminds me of a film, because you've got to employ elements. There is a narrative that takes place. There just is. There's a formula to all figure skating programs, where you have, your setup jumps, you have your spin, you have your rest period, your choreographic sequence at the end, and the footwork. Like, it's all planned very specifically, based on how your body's going to hold up, what's going to get you to win. But it's creating a journey and creating a story in that, portraying a character through music and compelling us in a way where you're taking us on an arc that is very much like storytelling. So you have technical elements, very basic points in a story, and you've got to fill it with a lot of nuance and a lot of, personality and all of that. And that's what is going to be iconic to people. And it is the exact same thing with figure skating. We look for moments in figure skating that really stick with us. Like these big crescendo moments in the music. Yes, it's a lot harder to do that now because of the way that technical content has really, you're pigeonholing it all into a very short period of time, though they're still trying, and they're still trying to find that balance between the artistic and the more kind of athletic aspects of things. And that push and pull to me is always so fascinating, and why I think it's the most compelling of the sports. What is your go-to comfort meal? I mean, there's so many. I grew up on Mexican food, very authentic Mexican food, so I like just really good Mexican food. That's a comfort thing. But I also love, Popeye's chicken sandwich. That's a big comfort meal. In-N-Out. I love burgers. I love wings. I love pizza. All of these things are comfort foods. I really love food. So, yeah, I'm just going to lump all of those together. Those are all some big kind of indulgent comfort meals for me that I indulge in a lot. But that is the Q&A. Thank you guys so much for writing in. And again, we'll do another one. I really enjoy doing these, and I love hearing from you guys. If you are a fan of art and you like supporting artists, I am an artist, and I have a website called deepfocuslens.com below. And I do commissioned portraits and prints of my work. If that's something that interests you, you can always go to my website, go to the shop, and you can purchase. And if you have any questions about a commission or something, some ideas you want to bounce off me, you can certainly email me. My email is below in the description box as well. And as always, here are my Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. You guys really do kind of make all of this better for me. I really enjoy talking to you. And if you want to become a patron, the link for that is below, and the social media information is below as well. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.